Welcome to the handover video for your new Knaus Sport and Fun. So we start at the front of the vehicle where we have fitted the 3-bar bike rack. Now it's a tilting bike rack, but the tilting mechanism won't be required as there's no front locker at the front of the Sport and Fun. Simply by undoing the friction screw on the locking arm, you can move these around. Obviously the longest arm will attach to the crossbar, or you can turn it sideways and attach it onto the seat upright of the bike. So the longest one will be on the bike in the forward facing channel, middle one, and then the shortest one will attach onto the bike there. Now, as I said, there is a tilting mechanism. You release the tilting mechanism with two levers, this one here and a corresponding one on the other side, and then the whole rack will tilt forward, clearing the handbrake, and depending on how far up you've pulled the jockey wheel, it will clear the jockey wheel as well. However, it's not a requirement because you don't have a gas locker at the front of your A-frame or the front of your caravan. I'll demonstrate on the day how this hitch actually hitches onto the back of your car, but I'm sure that's something you're already familiar with. Continuing the tour around the exterior of the vehicle, on the off side of the vehicle, the first door is the gas locker door. In here is the storage space for the winder for your corner steadies, which you can see at the rear of the vehicle. There's 4 corner steadies, one in each corner of the vehicle. Also inside you'll find a pair of chocks for chalking the wheels, and space to store 2 6-kilogram gas bottles, colour gas bottles, and a single pigtail and gas regulator. Your VIN plate with your mass and running order and maximum capacity weights is on there as well. This is a crash safe pigtail. It's not a crash safe regulator, so it's still advised that you switch the gas off while travelling, and you switch off by turning the brass knob at the top of the gas bottle clockwise to close the valve. Anti-clockwise will open the valve. As you turn it anti-clockwise, the valve will travel up and open. Once you have opened the valve, this safety valve, press and hold for a count of 3 and then release. That resets the safety valve. Every time you close the bottle, you'll have to reset the safety valve when you open the bottle again. The second door is the smaller of the 2 hatches that lead you into the enormous garage space, which is the USP of the Sport and Fun. The second door is the split door in the side habitation door. We'll move on from there. You can see the location of your Power Touch Evolution motor mover. Continuing down the side of the van, you come to the lock on the access hatch to the toilet cassette. Unlock with a key, and then you can remove the cassette. So you press, pull, and it releases the cassette. Now, if you have any difficulty releasing the cassette, then it means that the valve mechanism, which is the orange piece you can see in there, has not been closed properly inside the toilet. So if there's any resistance from the cassette, stop what you're doing, go inside, check that the valve has been closed properly between the toilet pan and the cassette. If it hasn't, close it properly, then come back out and carry on. Once you've taken your cassette to the waste disposal point, turn the exit pipe, remove the cap, and then empty the contents into the appropriate receptacle. There's a button here, a green button, which you press as you empty. That releases the air pressure and allows the contents to escape freely. After you have emptied it, fresh water, rinse it out, and then empty again. At this point, if you're using liquid chemicals, you would put your liquid chemicals in here. Do not put liquid chemicals down the toilet pan, they stain everything they touch. If you are using the sachets of dried chemicals, they can get dropped down through the toilet pan. Once you've done that, add about 1 litre of water. Similarly, if you're using liquid chemicals, add 1 litre of water, give it a good shake before returning this cassette back into the caravan. We're now at the rear of the caravan, where you can see the access ladder, which will take you to the roof of the caravan, where you'll find 2 roof rails which you can add bars across to carry roof boxes, kayaks or whatever. Again, one of the unique features of the Sport and Fun is the enormous access door at the rear of the caravan. From which you can enter the caravan Now, the inside is a little bit of a mess, but it's been done intentionally so that we can demonstrate things that are normally hidden below cushions, etc. So let's continue our tour. So we're now on the near side of the vehicle, where you can see the electric hookup point. And remember, when connecting an electric hookup point, wherever you may be, you always connect to the vehicle first, your caravan, then go over to the hitch point, connect there, and then switch the power on. Also on this side of the caravan, you will find the freezer vents. Never obstruct these, as they will impede the operation of your fridge freezer. Second of the 2 power touch motors for your motor mover. And then here is the 12 volt point 2-pin connection for your external water pump, and the access fill point. Now, under normal circumstances, you can just fill your water tank from here with a hose, but if you are on a campsite for an extended period of time and you use all the water that is in the tank, you can use an aqua roll, which you can sit beside the vehicle, and then using this pump water into the tank. Just fill the tank again and then put your pump away. Don't leave that in all the time. This is the main access door to the garage space underneath your van. The headboard is in place. The headboard has to be removed to raise the bed up in the interior, but I'll show you that when we get to the inside of the vehicle. Also in here we have fitted an isolator switch for your motor mover, and that's the red switch there, and it's quite simply marked on and off. Turn it clockwise to engage the battery, anti-clockwise to disengage the battery. And there is the send receive unit for your remote control for the motor mover. So now we're inside the caravan. There's a couple of units underneath the bench seat which I have to point out to you. The first of those is your small Truma electric boiler. That is something you have to go nowhere near. That will just get checked on your annual service. Next to it, however, though, there are 2 drain plugs. One for the cold water system, one for the hot water system, marked red and blue. Unscrew them anti-clockwise to open the valve to drain the water out of the boiler. To drain the water out of the fresh water tank, there's another valve that gets opened, and I'll show you that in just a moment. There's your leisure battery. Again, you shouldn't have to go anywhere near it. Once a calendar month, it's worthwhile plugging the van in overnight just to give a full charge to the leisure battery. Now, if you're on a campsite at any point during a month and you're plugged into mains, that counts as your once a month charge. Here is your freshwater tank. In the top of the freshwater tank, there is an access hatch. Inside the freshwater tank, there is a rubber bung at the bottom of the access hatch. To drain your freshwater tank for a winter drain down, unscrew this inspection port, and inside pull the bung, which is on a chain so that you don't lose it, pull the bung out of the hole and drain the tank. And that's all there is to a winter drain down of your caravan. Now, to make a bed up in this area is quite simple. The table you'll see at the moment has been left in its lower position, and there is a release lever underneath which will bring it back up, and on the day you arrive it'll be sitting in its uppermost position. The table fits in to the crook of the elbow of the L of the seats, and then the appropriate infill cushion is just plonked on top. Nice and simple. Now I'll put everything back together again and we'll continue the tour of the van. So let's look at the control panel, which you'll find on your left hand side just as you enter the habitation door on the side of the caravan. There's a small amber light in this corner which indicates the fact that we're actually plugged into mains electricity at the moment. This rocker switch will tell you indication of the condition of the battery. So obviously we're plugged into mains, so it's showing in excess of 13.5, which indicates it's been charged. Under normal operating conditions it will sit between 12.5 and 12.7 volts. That's the condition of the fresh water tank. Now the boiler has to be filled up to charge, so when you fill the tank at first it was up to 100%, then you fill the boiler, you may see it drop down either to 75 or 90%. Just top the freshwater tank up again after you've charged your boiler. Main 12 volt on off button. LED indicates that it's on, and that now means that we have power to all the 12 volt systems such as the lights inside the caravan. And then finally the switch here to switch on your water pump. With the water pump switched on, you're able to charge the boiler. So the first thing you should do when you've filled your water tank and you want to charge your boiler is turn a tap to the hot position and switch it on. You'll hear the pump start, and the pump will start to draw water from the freshwater tank into the boiler. During this time there'll be lots of air coming out and the water flow will be sporadic. Once it becomes constant, as you can see here, it means your boiler has been charged. Now I've had the water heater on, and I will have again on the day of collection, and you'll feel the water. You can actually see the steam coming off the water now in the video, and there will be ample hot water for you on the day to demonstrate that everything is working as it should. Now, while I'm here, I will show you how the gas hob works. This is not a self-igniting gas hob, so you will need to get yourself a small igniter like this. Push in the control valve, turn it to the maximum position and ignite the gas. Keep the button pressed in for a couple of seconds to allow the thermocouple to heat up. If the thermocouple isn't warm, the gas will switch off. It's a safety mechanism that if the flame gets blown out for any reason, the supply of gas is terminated as a safety feature. Now, sometimes these covers are fitted with safety cutouts. This one is not, so it's very important you don't bring the cover down while you still have the gas on. This will get very hot and shatter. So make sure all the gas is switched off before bringing it down. There's a safety sticker on the cover to indicate. If it hasn't cooled down before you close that and you head off, first bump you hit, you're in danger of the vibration shattering the glass. Now, while we're talking about gas, let's start the gas heater. Now, if you look at the control for the gas heater, numbers go from 0 to 5. Obviously, the higher the number, the warmer the setting. To switch the gas fire on, you simply turn this dial anti-clockwise to your selected number, and you'll hear it start to click as the igniter is clicking away. To supply gas to the pilot light, you just press and hold that button down. Once the pilot light is lit, You hold the button down for a few seconds just to allow the thermocouple to heat up. Once it's heated up, you release the button and you'll hear a woomph as the fire itself ignites. So let's turn it on. It's clicking away. Press and hold the button. Come down here. We'll see the blue pilot light is lit. The igniter has stopped clicking. When I release this button now, the fire now kicks in. Adjust the temperature up or down. 5 is about 30 degrees, which is very warm, but you'll find the right temperature that you find comfortable. Moving across to the other side, this is the fan. There is an outer ring and an inner control for the fan. Now the inner control is the fan speed when you're on manual. Manual is obviously M. 0 is off, A is auto, and on auto it will wait until the fire has reached the temperature that you've set here, and then it will automatically start the blower, which will circulate warm air through the vents that are located around the caravan. If you go to manual, using this dial, you can adjust the speed of the fan. During the summer, there's no air conditioning, but if you go to the vent position, this will just circulate the air that is inside the caravan, just to help keep things a little bit fresh for you. To switch the heater off, you simply turn the dial to 0. If you look below, the pilot light has gone out. Now just above the fire, you find the on-off switch for your hot water. Never put this on-off switch on unless there's water in the boiler. When it's on, it glows green. This is the on-off switch for the external pump. You don't want to have that socket outside that's been previously demonstrated live all the time. So when you plug your external pump in, it won't come on until you supply power to the socket. There is no on-off switch on the pump, the external pump, so you have to control it from that switch. Underneath the baseboard of the cupboard, you'll find your charger unit and your mains RCD fuses. So if ever you overload by using hairdryer, straighteners and microwave at the same time, the RCD will trip to protect your circuits, stop causing damage. Battery operated internal light with a plunger switch on the back end of it to give you illumination inside your cupboard. Next to the cupboard is your fridge. Now, you may have heard of three-way fridges. This fridge in certain circumstances can be a three-way fridge, but fitted in the Sport and Fun, it will only run on mains and gas. The electrical system of this caravan, this fridge is too big for a caravan this size. It draws too much current and it would blow fuses. So it only operates on gas and mains electricity. When the fridge is on, you'll see a small green button on the power button, a small green light I should say on the power button. To switch the fridge off, press and hold. To switch the fridge on, press and hold until all the lights come on, then release. At the moment, the fridge is operating on mains electricity and it's at its coldest setting. The screen will fall asleep in a moment. Two reasons. One, to prolong the life of the LEDs, and two, not to annoy you when you're trying to sleep at night with a green glow at the end of the caravan. The first time you press any button, all you're doing is waking the system up. The second time you press this button, it'll start to go through the changes you can make. So the first thing when you press and hold is you start to get a flash on this symbol. Now when this flashes, you can use the arrows left and right to change a power source. Battery, do not use, it won't work, the fridge won't run. Gas, then press again to select. It'll then ask you what temperature you want to run the fridge at, and you can adjust that up and down using these arrows. Press again to accept. You're now running on gas and we're just 1 bar short of the coldest setting. To save your gas, I'm going to put this back on to electricity. mains electric will make it as cold as it can be, except both. Panel will go to sleep, and when you come to collect the vehicle in the morning, you open the fridge door, put your hand in, and you'll feel that it's cold. Now the tap in the vanity unit works in exactly the same way as in the kitchen sink. Cold to one side, hot to the other, and there's little coloured markings on the top of the tap to indicate which way is which. On the top of the toilet is the control for the flush. Now the toilet has got a rubber valve that separates the bowl from the cassette below. To use the toilet, you open the valve, the seat turns, swivels, so that you've got leg room when using the toilet. After you've used the toilet, you have to close this diaphragm again. That must be closed so that you can remove the cassette. Obviously, before you close it, you will flush by pressing this button here to rinse the bowl. Now the flush, unlike your toilet at home, will only continue to run while the button is depressed. This button here comes on, this light, I should say LED, comes on when the cassette is removed. So if you come into the toilet and that light is on, do not use it, the cassette has been taken away. This means that there's no water left to flush the toilet. That would obviously mean that you're out of water in the tank. This light comes on when your cassette is half full, this light comes on when the cassette is completely full. To open the roof light, press the button on the catch and slide the catch to the side. Repeat the process on that side, then disengage the handlebar and then just use the bar to push the roof light up, and there are little catches there and there where you can catch the handlebar in place to keep the roof light at an angle. This would be a good angle to have it at when you're cooking. This will allow steam and moisture from the cooking gas to escape. Before travelling, make sure that this is closed, the bar is locked in position, and you have locked over these two catches. If you drive with this open and the wind gets caught underneath it, it'll rip it off, and it's quite an expensive repair. Privacy screen, do not do what I've just done. Always spring loaded, take it back by hand. And on this side there is a fly screen which will engage if you take it all the way over with the privacy screen, and the two can slide backwards and forwards like that. Again, always put the screen back by hand. The screens on the windows are located at the top. Privacy screen comes down so. Again, spring loaded, don't let it fly up on its own, it will jump off its runners. Similarly, the fly screen comes down and engages. It too is spring loaded, so be very gentle as it goes back up. To actually open the windows, 1, 2, 3, pressing the button in on the bottom one, you push the window out till you hear it click. It will stay in that position. To close the window, you go past the clicks and then the window comes down. It's a lot easier if you're not holding a camera in one hand. And again, while travelling, ensure that the windows are firmly closed. Extras that you'll find on day of collection include the 12-volt pump and the remote control and locking keys for, well, that's the remote control for the motor mover, and that's the locking keys for your bike rack. Well, that concludes the tour of your Knaus Sport and Fun. We're sure that this van is going to give you years of pleasure, years of enjoyment, and a lot of fantastic family memories will be created. Lots of miles and lots of memories. So remember, drive, park and relax with Highland Camper Vans. Thank you for choosing us as your supplier, and we look forward to continuing our relationship over the years of ownership of this van.